Welcome to the Eferia TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. I'm your host, Ezekiel Iferia, and today we are joined by Sameer Goel, an AI solutions architect and former AWS engineer who's also a yoga practitioner from India. He's the founder of Inner Intelligence, an initiative with a simple but ambitious mission to help humanity develop both AI awareness and self-awareness. His belief is simple. Artificial intelligence is transforming the world. Inner intelligence will determine how we shape the future. So Samir, I am excited and honored to welcome you to the show, sir. Thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Ezekiel. Thank you for inviting me and having me on this show.
It is a pleasure to welcome you. So let's dive into it, Samir. You have a phrase that really stuck with me. You say inner intelligence is to breed what artificial intelligence is to machines. So what do you mean by that? What is inner intelligence, first of all, and why is it becoming, important, if not the most important skill in the age of AI?
Sure. I'll answer both of your question. So, what is inner intelligence and why it is important? So, I understand that most of the viewers have been hearing artificial, right? You understand the word artificial is made up, right? It's a made up intelligence. While inner intelligence is our own intelligence, our own critical thinking, our own purest intention to do something. I like to highlight inner intelligence in this hype age of artificial intelligence because as a human being, we may miss out on listening to our inner voice, listening to our what intuition says, and then just go to a chat gpt or the latest AI tools and ask them what to do, ask them how this is done. Outsourcing our critical thinking too much will be a loss for humanity in the long run. If you see, collective consciousness of our human being, collective critical thinking of our human being will determine the next stage of AI, because AI is learning from what we are giving AI to train on. And that's what, when I was working with AI, I understood that, having some mindful prompting, having some mindful usage of AI, having AI for creating innovation rather than just generating AI slops or AI blogs or just some automation to just create some passive money, it's more than that. And when we combine our own intuition, our own inner intelligence, and artificial intelligence tools, which are amazing, great, once you know how to use it, then you can literally change the world. Then you can literally change your inner world.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for sharing that. Samia, you spent over a decade inside AI, building it, teaching it, and working with it. So what did you learn? What did you see from the inside that actually made you realize we needed, more than just smarter machines?
What I understood, I used to ask this question to my colleagues: how much time are we saving on day to day when we have this fastest AI at our disposal? How much innovation are we creating when we have the latest models at our disposal? Limitless. We are the company itself, so we create models, AI models. I didn't really hear much response from the people. They would say, yes, we have to generate more money, we need to have bigger goals and bigger targets, but nobody was really thinking in terms of creating value, creating value within, like, as a human being, how we can transform ourselves rather than just relying on external tool. And that really stuck me. I felt that as a human society, as a human brain, in fact, our brain is wired to avoid any kind of hard work. And social media was already degrading a lot of our creativity. Social media, doom scrolling, social media consumption, mindless consumption was already degrading a lot of critical thinking. And I stepped up to teach people, I stepped up to teach students and even kids to how to critically use AI so that they transform themselves, so that they can improve their attention time span, so that they can understand how AI works and they do not lose their critical power thinking.
All right. So you say social media is already degrading our critical thinking, and you also said earlier about how outsourcing our thinking so much to AI will lead to a negative effect, in the long run. So, Samir, how do we avoid, how do we actually maintain our inner intelligence and avoid this long-term creative thinking decline?
Mhm. Really good question. And I would like to highlight this question as one of the important question because inner intelligence is all about not losing your critical thinking. So I'll give you one framework that I teach people. It was from my own experimentation I understood, and probably after you hear it, you will also notice it that is designed to say yes to whatever you're saying. If you say, I have this idea, it will say, oh, yes, it's a great idea. It's a wonderful idea. If you say, no, you made a mistake, and like, oh, you're absolutely right. I missed that. And this is another great idea. AI is created so that you use it more. And the companies who are creating AI, they get the benefit. Okay. They're not there to literally, like be blunt and say, no, this is not a good idea. Or I would not give you an answer to this question. You should think of yourself. Right. AI is just there as a fast food. You ask for it, it give it to you, and then you pass it on to somebody. I realized this is not a way that human society should progress. And the framework that I teach people, it's called DAAM, which is don't assume, ask everything. Okay. So ask me. Don't assume, ask me. DAAM. I Whenever I prompt my I write this sentence in the end. Don't assume. Why? Because whenever you do not write the prompt completely, AI will assume and it will give you the generic data. It will give you whatever the generalized accepted data is, not what you really want. Okay. And then ask me, because then AI can ask you what you are really thinking and you can brainstorm further with AI. I would like to add on even more here. First, you're not letting AI assume anything. It will ask you. And then you can even add one more line. Say, don't give me direct answer. Give me a hint or a follow-up question so that I can enhance my critical thinking. And this will be an advanced step of when you are, actively working on your critical thinking, right? So
Yep.
let's say if I'm asking anything to AI, it will not give you answer. It will say, okay, what do you think? What are your answer? And then if I'm able to go in certain direction, it can correct me. It can give me some hints and I can arrive to my own answer with that.
Mm. So, we are going to add something to that.
Yeah, I would like to add one more thing because we are talking about critical thinking. So one is this DAM framework. Don't assume, ask me, which will let you think further, brainstorm with AI rather than AI giving you generic slop. Second one, we discussed that it will not give you a direct answer in the beginning. It will ask you for a hint or give you a follow up question so that human can go back and think of themselves. And the third one I suggest is if you're going really further with your critical thinking, then if you have a question in your mind, do not Google, do not ChatGPT, do not AI. Just sit with pen and paper for at least 5 minutes. If you are even more ambitious in terms of understanding what answers that your brain can come up, your intuition can come up, then at least take 30 minutes to 1 hour. Write whatever comes to your mind. It doesn't matter if it's wrong or right, because we are not chasing efficiency, we are chasing critical thinking. And write those things, then go to any of AI and then see what it has given. And then you can do a gap analysis and see this is 5 things I can understand myself. And these are the 3 new things that I got to know from AI. And this way you know where you stand, rather than feeling dumb at the end where we're just getting the great best answers from highest model that we have, and then you pass it on. Human will never get to use their brain this way.
So, Samir, you shared the DAAM framework, don't assume, ask me. You talked about how, whenever we write a prompt, if we don't write it completely, the AI assumes and gives us a generic response. So now you also talk about, the AI not giving you a direct answer. Instead, it can give you a hint or ask you for follow-up questions to enhance your critical thinking. But I like to ask, isn't that going to cause like a throttle or a bottleneck to productivity? Isn't it going to make someone progress slower with what they are doing? Maybe like with a research, and I'm asking a question to the AI and it's asking me a question back or asking for follow-ups when I really need progress. But now I'm just going back and forth, giving it more information, prompting better. I like to hear your thoughts on this. Does it not cause like a delay in productivity?
Good question. And I am seeing this intersection of productivity versus critical thinking, or going back and forth with your mind. I would like to answer this question in a way. For example, you're a scientist, Ezekiel. Okay. You are working on a problem, and you ask your AI and say, AI, can you please solve this problem? I need to publish a paper because I have to submit it tomorrow. I need to file a patent on it. And AI gives you something. And surprisingly enough, it even provide you something very significant that you can have a patent on. Now, Ezekiel is being called on podcast to talk about this paper, and Ezekiel is like, I just found prompt to do this. I really do not know about this subject. Okay. Now, as a human being, when we do not understand, and this is the best scenario that I'm talking, when we are not following a back and forth, when we are not in the same pace of how AI is thinking, we will create a lot of AI slops. We will create a lot of gap between our understanding and what AI has created. And then we will look like, there are, as students do these days. I've heard of teachers saying when they were evaluating and they will be like, wow, this is such an amazing essay that the student has written. And they asked the student, like, what went in your mind to write this? And student was blank because student did not really use, AI. Student was being productive of just doing the work in minimal time. So I would say we have to redefine those. How we need to redefine what we call as productivity. We cannot just say creating 100 burgers in 1 minute is productivity. Creating one balanced meal that can enrich you and enrich the world is much more better than just creating in bulk.
Absolutely, absolutely, indeed. That was an amazing response. It went to the depth of the question. Indeed, we actually need to really define what productivity, what progress, what success looks like in a specific task, and not just keep moving forward in a direction that, yeah, it seems like progress, but in the long run, really isn't. Samir. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, a lot of people are scared of AI, scared of losing their jobs, scared of being left behind, scared of what it means for humanity in the long run. So, what do you say to someone that feels that fear? How do you help them move past it?
All right. So this is also a hot question, and we should address this question. So thank you for asking that. Is definitely replacing the jobs, such as cars replace horse carts, such as horse carts were replaced by trains, right? It's a progress that we do over the time to manual work, to something that is, that was there because there was no automation. So definitely automation will start replacing the things which people used to do it manually. If this is a fear for people to say that I am losing my job, I used to pick up the package from here to there, and now a robot is doing it much faster. I would say rather than looking at as a fear of job, think of it as upgrading yourself. Think of it as how can I do something which is complementary to AI? So I do, for example, a critical thinking, and then let AI help me. I do the intention I do the planning and then let AI follow up on that with the action. We don't have to create fear in the society. We need to create support. We need to create AI literacy in order to upgrade ourselves. And I would say this is the time for upgrade. I would even call it as Industrial Revolution 2.0, because when Industrial Revolution happened, we had machines, but those machines were not smart. They were pre-programmed. Now the AI is helping us to be doing a dynamic programming, taking ad hoc changes. It doesn't have to rely on a pre-programmed PCB, or have you probably have seen electronic chips that were just embedded for one purpose. Now AI is much more powerful. It's just the next generation of industrial revolution. So we should not fear any revolution, but I understand people have feared cars in the beginning. People have feared railroads in the beginning. It's just the human society feels, what we're gonna do, but we always upgrade.
Absolutely. So, you've said that fear is the biggest blocker to using AI well. How does the fear of AI, how does it affect, how clearly we actually, are able to think and make good decisions with artificial intelligence?
All right. So let's start to think, what is a fear of AI? Most of the fear with AI, as you mentioned, it's fear of losing jobs.
Mm.
Fear of losing job is one. Then another one is AI is making a lot of money, and if I do not use AI, I'll be replaced. And you've seen companies saying, if you don't use AI, you'll be replaced. AI
It's
will not take
everywhere.
your job, right? But the person using the AI will replace your job. Now, for example, Ezekiel, you have a chair or you're sitting at, and you want to sell that chair. What are you going to say? You will not lose your back posture, but if you do not buy this chair, you're going to definitely lose your back posture. Now it creates a fear among the people that I want that chair. I really want to that chair. And you drive the sales of that chair much more. Fear driven society, fear driven sales is not new. Have, marketing companies have been creating so much fear in the society. It's called fear of missing out, fear of, getting replaced. It's all fear. I would say, do not listen to people who talk about fear. Now, what can you do instead? For example, whatever job you have right now, whoever is listening to this podcast, and start contemplating what job they have right now, what part of that is going to automate, let that be automated by AI, or if you can, be the one who automates it by yourself. Okay. So,
Hmm.
for example, if I am somebody who's a graphic designer and I have a fear now, ChatGPT creates such a beautiful images and it can even edit it. My job is in fear and I'm not, I'm just living in fear. Rather than, I would say, how can I automate the parts that are that I don't like? Or how can I do some part myself that I really feel? As an artist, I would go for what is the value, what is the meaning behind this image, and then I convey that image to AI, and then AI creates an image behind it, and then I contemplate on it. I say, yes, I feel this value is being visible, but this value is not being visible. So I go back and forth with AI and make it good as per your intention. So if I sum up, please do not fear. It's just a revolution that will happen. Automation is definitely going to happen. And if you feel your job is going to automate fully, completely automatically with AI, then start looking for upgrading yourself. Even as a human being, it's a signal from the universe that you should do something even more better.
Absolutely. So, Samir, let's go back to the topics of AI, coupled with critical thinking and inner intelligence. So, if you could actually give someone one daily practice to strengthen their inner intelligence, what would it be?
Okay. So I would say inner intelligence is can be a new word for everybody, but it's just your awareness. It's my mindfulness of using an AI. If I use social media, for doom scrolling all day, and if I'm not aware how it drains my brain, it's gonna certainly, you know, it will gonna certainly have a big impact at the end of, after you realize it, late. Rather than rather than that awareness that kicks in very late, when AI is beginning right now at this stage, when human beings are developing their habits of working with AI, be more mindful, be more intentional. Being more intentional will make you a better human being, make you start understanding what your intentions are.
That was an amazing response to it. So, still on it, you said people are actually feeding their confirmation bias, when they use tools like chat GPTs. What does that mean in clear terms, and how do you use AI to sharpen your thinking instead of just confirming what you've already believed?
Yeah. So, as we understood, the default settings of AI is for you to agree with you. Okay. It's
Hmm.
there to be a friend, so that a yes man. Have you heard of a yes man theory? Which
Yes,
is like,
yes.
it will just keep on, saying yes to everything, so that, it can be your friend. And the more it says yes, the more you will feel empowered, and the more you will connect with AI more than even human beings. When I understood the default behavior of AI, whatever AI people are using, whoever is listening to that podcast, go to their AI, go to the personalization settings and say to AI, please do not say yes to whatever I say. Propose a contrasting view, propose an alternative perspective, so that I can enhance my vision, so that I can enhance my ideas more than just saying yes. And this way, I would have five different perspectives. This way, I will have an opposing perspective to look on.
Absolutely. On the topic of, how we could lose our inner intelligence and critical thinking, over the span of years if we consistently use AI. You mentioned social media and doom scrolling, that's one challenge a lot of people face. These social media apps, they are designed to be addictive. They are designed to keep your attention. They are designed to keep you stuck on them for several hours. So how does one, use social media mindfully? These tools, they are helpful, of course. They are designed to connect the world together. Like, for example, we are having this conversation right now over a video call from opposite ends of the earth. Social media like this is also designed to connect us. So it has its good sides, definitely. So the question here is, how does one mindfully use these tools that were designed originally to help us, in a way that it does not eventually drain our inner intelligence and keep us in a state where our critical thinking is getting declined over the span of years?
Like, correct, Ezekiel. I understood your question, and this is you're trying to ask. We are actually, using some form of internet here. This video, this podcast will go on a social media, some form of social media. The social media that we are talking about is the doom scrolling one, is the one which gives you instant dopamine, is the one which gives you instant dopamine. And then for the next instant dopamine, you scroll next. And then the next, you scroll next and next and next. And then 1 hour gone by and you haven't done your work. You haven't progressed anywhere. You have, lost your back posture by just, or your vision, or, health by just looking at the screen. I'm criticizing that form of social media. And what I'm promoting is, if you have a clear intention of why do you want to use social media. For example, I have an automation. Whenever I open YouTube, it asks me what is my intention of using it. And I type my intention. When I'm typing my intention, I'm echoing my brain that this is what I'm going to social media. And when I, as a human being as well, get derailed from my intention, I will remind myself, oh yes, this was the intention that I should be using social media for. So I would say, consume long form content which is not instant dopamine. And then when you are using social media, please do not just use social media for infotainment. It's good to talk about, yes, this company has done this, or this guy has done this, or Sameer has created this. But my work is not completed until you take certain actions on it, until you change your behavior towards AI. So make sure to take some takeaways from the video that you watch, a long form video or even a short form video, and take some actions on it. As a society, we should not stuck in this zone of infotainment giving us dopamine, either long form or either short form, and not taking any actions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I hope it helps the listeners, the listeners who find themselves constantly doom scrolling and unintentionally wasting hours on the social media tools. So, Samir, what gives you hope about, the future of AI and humanity together?
Yeah. So hope for me is, as a human being, as a collective society, as you, me, listeners, when we start taking mindful actions, we will transform ourselves. When we take intentional action with AI, when we take retrospective of how we use AI, we can understand, are we losing our memory? Are we using our critical thinking? Are we using the AI for the highest good and not just for, creating some factory style puts? When as a humanity we start thinking like that, and of course there are some people who are doing like that, but as those people, as among those people, you and me, we are creating this awareness to the large masses, so that as a collective society we can grow and create innovations for the world, for solving the real pain points. We do not have what do you say, or I would say that we have a long list of pain points that earth is suffering from. For example, climate, soil, water, then mental health, attention time span, memory loss, communication gaps, relationships. All of these are really important, and important for a human being. That what makes us human. Be more human. Use AI tools to be more human, rather than making it as just another automation tool that will make your life as as a machine itself.
So to wrap things up here, for our listeners who actually want to go learn more about your work, they want to explore inner intelligence or just, continue this conversation with you. So where is the best place for them to start?
Sure. So I have a website called inner-intelligence.org, which I created for anybody who's struggling with their AI usage, who's struggling with life purpose, who's thinking, I do not know, I have a fear of AI. They can connect with me one on one. Right now, I've created my bandwidth for people to connect with one on one, understand their pain points, and give them direction, take them from their fear zone to something which is more inspiring, which is good for the world. So they can go to my website and connect with me, and I'll be able to help them.
All right. I'll be sure to have your website linked in the show notes of this podcast. So for the listeners, you can scroll down and find Samir's website there and go check it out. It has, indeed been an interesting and a really insightful conversation with you here today, sir. And I thank you for taking the time to join us on the show.
Thank you, Ezekiel. It was wonderful talking to you.